On Wednesday, in the first race of the day, Cal Maritime's TeamUSA was maneuvering for the starting line. And Charlie, we had a case of bumper cars, I guess is the best way to describe it. And I thought it might be interesting for people who are visiting the blog site to understand what happened and then talk about the process of going through filing a protest over what happened and arguing our case for who should be penalized and what.
Okay.
So let's begin first with the incident itself, and we've got a little compilation here, a race course. We've got some cocktail nuts that are representing our boats. So let's swing down here and take a look at the race course.
So the Portuguese boat is the light colored nut. This is Cal Maritime, and coming in up here will be the Japanese. This is the race committee boat, our start line, the pin into the starting line, and this is the direction of the wind. So the Portuguese were here, not quite on the wind, just sort of hanging out, waiting for the start. And we came in and tacked, crossed head to windward of them. So that makes us the keep clear boat. We have to stay clear of a boat downwind or to leeward of us. Once we completed our tack, and as evident in the video, the Japanese came along here who needed to keep clear of us. And rather than keeping clear of us, they bore down on us. We called for them to stay up and luffed, which means came up towards the wind. The Portuguese were in here somewhere luffing us as well. And even though we called for luff and the Japanese were supposed to stay clear, they did not. So there was contact between us and the Japanese. Meanwhile, the Portuguese were still luffing or trying to bring us up, and at one point they came and made contact with our boat just about the port side of the cockpit, and then sort of bounced off and left the boat. So the Portuguese were protesting us for not keeping clear because we were the windward boat. We were protesting the Japanese for not keeping clear because they were the windward boat. And all of this mess went to a protest hearing.
And what was the result of that hearing?
The jury heard testimony from the Japanese, from our Sean Kelly, our tactician, and from the Portuguese skipper. And at the end of that testimony, Sean basically said what I just told you there. The Japanese skipper said, yes, that's what happened. We didn't keep clear. There was another boat on top of the Japanese, but they didn't really bring in who was that boat or protest them. So the Japanese were disqualified from the race. In the racing rules of sailing, the right-of-way boat, there's a rule called Rule 14 that means everybody has to avoid a collision because we don't want boats contacting each other. But the right-of-way boat can't be penalized under Rule 14 unless there's damage. And so on our boat, we had a bent stanchion, which is one of the poles that holds the lifelines up. And the jury last night found that there was contact, but that there was no damage. And so they didn't penalize the Portuguese team. So the only person thrown out was the Japanese. We were found to have broken Rule 11, which is keeping clear of a boat to leeward or downwind of you. But because the Japanese forced us to break that rule, we were exonerated for breaking the rule. So then Doug Webster, our PR aficionado, came up with a video that showed both the incident with Japan, and at the same time we had a video showing the other side of the boat, which showed the contact with Portugal. And if you time the two of them together, you can see that we had just gotten hit by the Japanese and could not go anywhere, and the Portugal team came from leeward up and made contact with us and caused damage. We thought that the video was very convincing, but the jury did not, and that happens sometimes. The jury found that the jury wasn't sure that the damage to our boat that they went down and inspected actually happened as a result of this collision. They did admit that there was contact, and because the rule states that you can only penalize the right-of-way boat if there's damage, they didn't associate the damage on our boat to the collision, so the Portuguese sort of got off scot-free.